it's John Piper with a weekend video, and it's Saturday the 27th of May. Starting with Bitcoin as usual. So far we've got the 5 waves up from here. 1, a 2, then a 1 of 3, and a 2 of 3. Whether this is actually over or not, let's look in a bit more detail. That certainly looks like it's almost over if it's not actually over. Let's shrink this a little bit. So we've got the A, B, C, D, E. It's done all it needs to do. This looks fairly impulsive, in fact. So we have got a case. I'll get onto a 5-minute chart just to see how it looks on that chart. Certainly have a case. It's a 30-minute chart, actually. It's hard to count. I mean, 1, 2. No, it just gets lost really. It looks like an ABC, in fact. So this is although it does look quite impulsive. There's no clear wave pattern here, but I mean these things don't always conform to the perfect symmetry as I've discussed before. I think any break above here would be confirmation that this is actually the next leg up, or maybe a move to there as a possible 1, then maybe an ABC 2, and then a thrust up this point. So I think there's a fair case this is actually the low on Bitcoin, and it's a matter of choice whether you want to go with this, really. I do have a small position in place, in fact, which I think is about break even at the moment, but you know, it is a little bit in doubt, but I mean everything else looks good. I mean the actual pattern into this low looks set up for a decent rally. It's just a confirmation which isn't quite there, but this does look impulsive, so there is some confirmation at this point. Ethereum has a 1, 2, 1, quite a big 2, but now we've just got this ABC. I mean, it could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, but you know, the actual wave formation is not clear, rather like Bitcoin really. So it looks a bit messy at this point. I mean, we've actually got 5 waves down here, in fact, as well. So on Ethereum, we might well see lower prices. It does look likely we're going to retest or even break below here. Certainly there's a weaker case on Ethereum, the lows in, than on Bitcoin. It's not perfect on Bitcoin either. So still somewhat confused. Gold has a clear 5 up to here, we discussed that, but now this rather irregular A, B, C has come in. I mean, it's in line with what you might expect, I guess. I mean, okay, it's an irregular pattern, going to make new highs first. But you know, this looks like the final C wave, so maybe around here for the final low. But, I mean, it still looks positive again. I mean, we're just seeing rather confused patterns on these markets I've covered so far. Not exactly what, well, not normalised at all. But you know, the actual sort of direction seems clear. Trend is up, but we just need to see the end of this correction, which is not yet with us, I don't think. For some perspective on gold, look at the daily chart here. I mean, we have had the rally since late October, so it's been with us for over 6 months now. So, yeah, pretty solid move from around 1600 up to 2000, so solid 25%. So this is probably a bit small in that context. We might well see a bigger decline. I mean, 38.2 is just down to here, which is 1880. I think that's probably a minimum expectation. Let's move that down a little bit. I mean, it's just got overbought. I think you know, people have been saying buy gold consistently now for some months, and so everybody's piled in, no one left to buy, and we need a bit of a shakeout, which is what happens to all markets, and just sets the scene for the next move up. But obviously, having seen 6 months of upside, we could easily see 2 or 3 months of downside. We've had, let's see when did it start? 13th of April. So we had about a month, a little bit so far. So another 3 weeks might well be seen here to the downside before we see a low come in. All right, silver also has a fairly confused pattern. That really is, we've got possible 1, 2, 1, 2, then 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 1 of 3 of 3. That's 2 of 3 and 3. So again, there's a case for a low here, and this could be a very solid thrust. So I think it's probably worth playing that. But there are some question marks. I mean, this is a 5-wave decline, very sharp decline. It could be an irregular A, B, C. But then the count here becomes a little bit less clear. So there is a few murky areas, but let's go down to a 5-minute chart and look at this rally. bit more detail. That's a bit too much detail, I think. Yeah, I mean, you see it's a nice, solid, impulsive move, albeit in a fairly short time frame. Possible 1, 2, 3 maybe, or maybe 3 to there, 4, and the fifth wave coming in. So I think the decent case. This is a reasonably important low. So I think it's worth being positioned on that, as I am in fact. But yeah, again, the patterns are not as clear as I might like. But then that's par for the course really at this stage in time. No change on FTSE. The all-time peak I believe came in here. Well, so far the all-time peak, but I think it's going to hold for a while. We've got 5 waves down, A, B, C, and a 1, 2. I think this is a 1, 2, 1 of 3. So this is 2 of 3, and the third of a third coming in quite soon. So I'm looking for a pretty sharp decline on FTSE coming in the fairly near future, and eventually it'll take us below this level here, and it could be quite a substantial decline, I would say. And certainly as a third of a third, it should take this out in some style. So that's how a pretty clear count as well. There's always doubt, but I mean, the count itself looks pretty clear on FTSE. The DAX got clear 5 waves down, no debate there, followed by an A, B, so the B's down here. ABC up to 50% level closely, so I think we're close to a reversal point here. No actual confirmation at this point in time. Might get a little bit higher. I mean, 61.8% not much higher up here, around 36,100. Sorry, 16,100. Slight slip of the tongue there. But yeah, I think we're going to be going on down pretty soon now on the DAX, and this will be a very sharp decline, I'd expect. Right, the Dow still looks positive. We've got the, I call these all-time high, but so the all-time high so far. We had a 4 wave here, clear 5 advance, clear ABC, another 5 up, another ABC. So there's certainly a case here that we're going to see another leg up on the Dow, which should take some new highs unless this is a regular peak. But having seen an ABC here, I think it's unlikely to be a regular peak. I think it's likely to be just a wave 1 with a wave 2, and that we're actually going to go higher from here. At least that's the message from this chart at the moment. I do still hold some. I mean, I still hold stocks since I have gold and silver miners, for example. So special situations and the miners make sense. Gold and silver make sense. Crypto makes sense. And the equities, I think, are a little bit dubious. You have to be careful with the equities, except for, I say, miners and special situations. But that will be that's my stance anyway. I'm not. You must do your own thing, obviously, but hopefully, what information I provide is useful to aiding that decision process, which is what I try to do basically. But the Dow does look potentially positive. So let's go on to the Nasdaq. Right on the Nasdaq, I've been counting this as a 5 down to here, as a 1, and then a 2, 1 of 3, 2 of 3. But I think maybe we should count this all as a 5 down to here. I'm just going to check that out, see whether we should revise. I mean, there's definite overlap between the 1 and what would be the 1 and the 4, which is probably why I preferred this count. But I think if this is a 5, then this is an A, B, C, and that makes a lot more sense than the count we've got at the moment, which is getting rather complicated. Let me just have a look at that in a bit more detail. Well, I think it's a lot neater actually. So we've got the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I mean, there's a few little things that aren't exactly right. There's been over here between the 1 and the 4, I think. But I think overall it's a much neater count. So we've got a 1 and a 2. That's nice and simple. Also, we've got the 61.8% level right here, right just where we are now, in fact. So we could in fact see a reversal come Monday, I guess. What is the date on Monday? Let's check something. Just thinking about option expiry, but obviously as the end of the month that doesn't apply. Anyway, it looks like we're going to. I would expect a peak any time now. Really, we've also got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's sort of all there, bar the actual peak on the Nasdaq. Quickly look at a shorter term chart. Going down to a 30-minute chart, we've also got a 1, 2, 3, 4, with a possible fifth wave. So 1, 2, 3. So one more pullback, one more rally, which could just last a day or so. So I think a peak next week, sort of early first half of the week, looks on the cards on the Nasdaq. So watch out for that. It could be quite a major turning point. That's all for today. If you found it useful, please feel free to get in touch, have any questions, and you have to point out or discuss. Have a great weekend. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.